What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So it's a huge thanks for coming back. We really appreciate you. So today's going to be a pretty fun build video because we got a new build in the channel, and we're for the first time going to use our brand new Challenger 12,000 pound lift. So we're really hoping that it'll make this process of doing these builds a lot easier. So what we have here is obviously an OBS crew cab long bed, so it's a big boy, and we're gonna make it even bigger. So this thing's gonna be getting basically all of our parts that we sell. So it's getting obviously our 05 Plus axle swap kit, our CF5 cross member, our radius arms, and it's getting our 08 Plus leaf spring hanger kit. And we're super excited to get this build done. It's also getting a 6-inch lift on it, 37-inch tires. And I believe the customer is keeping those newer style Super Duty wheels on it. That is the truck that we painted the axle for in one of our last videos. That axle's pretty close to being ready to get put back together. All we gotta do is we gotta throw the ball joints on the knuckles, which is what I'm about to do right now. We've got the knuckles painted, the all ball joints pulled out, and the new ball joints ready to go back in. And again, like I said, these things are pretty shot. They have quite a bit of slop. The booth is completely torn, and it's hard to show you guys, but it's got a lot of in and out play. So we've got some new Spicer ball joints for it. We've got a new Motorcraft ball joint for the track bar. We're also going to be doing new brakes and all that stuff on the axle, but that'll be towards the end once we have the axle and everything already installed on the truck. We'll go ahead and tackle that. I do got to learn how to use this lift, see what the best spot to lift it off the truck is. So I'm going to be playing with that too before we lift this truck. And we're obviously going to be really safe about that. We'll put it on the frame, lift it up, jiggle it up and down as much as we can to try and see, you know, to make sure that it's level. And on top of that, where is it? We bought a couple hoist support stands, I guess is what they're called. So we're going to be putting these on each corner of the truck just to be sure that we're as safe as we can possibly be, because the last thing we ever want is to obviously not, you know, hurt one of these trucks or myself or anyone else working here at the shop. So we really do want to be as safe as we can possibly be about this. But again, that's enough talking. We're super excited to jump on this thing. It should be a pretty quick, easy swap, and then we're gonna jump back onto Bryce's truck, which, as you might be able to see, it is not in the shop. I'll give you a little sneak peek. It's right over there. Okay, guys, so not gonna lie, I played around with this thing a lot until I was happy with it, but we've got it on the lift. It's nice and solid, and I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I was pretty nervous the first time that I was going up with this thing, but I'm pretty confident now. So I guess let me show you. I mean, it's a lift. All of you guys know what it is, but you know, to me this is the first time that I've used one of these things. So but I've already messed with this thing. I came over here and jiggled it. And as you can see, it's pretty solid on there. But like I said, it always makes me pretty nervous. It makes me pretty nervous, you know, using this thing. But at the same time, I'm just so excited to have this thing because, like I said, it should make this job of doing these swaps a heck of a lot easier. So what I'm going to do now, though, since I do want to go up higher with this thing, and like I said, I want to be as safe as possible, I'm going to go ahead and put together those under hoist support stands. That way we can go up with this thing and make sure that we're being super safe about it. So I'm going to go ahead, get them put together, and we'll try them out. Okay guys, this, I mean, to me this is crazy. I can't believe that we have our first OBS on the lift. Not gonna lie, a little bit scary, a little bit nervous doing it. But again, we made sure that everything was super solid. Again, we've got one of those jacks on each corner of the frame, so this thing is super solid. I'm pretty confident in that. So we're gonna go ahead, take the wheels off, start taking all the steering, all of that stuff off of the axle, so we can be ready to just drop it and get the axle out of here. Can't believe it. This should really make this whole process a lot faster, especially once we're actually pretty familiar with how to do it. You know, we have a way, I guess, of doing this. One thing that I really want to figure out is how I can modify, I don't even know, my current jack stands to be able to kind of just lower the truck onto them, secure the axles to the jack stands, and then be able to just wheel them. Don't look at that too much, guys. That's right there. And then be able to, you know, remove the axles that way. I think we should be able to do that. And what we've been thinking is adding a second base to them with casters, and then making some sort of adapter thing like we have for those jack stands to be able to capture, just kidding, to be able to capture the axles and then be able to just, you know, wheel them off. But again, that'll be for a future project. Right now we'll figure out how to do this just like that. So anyways, I'm gonna jump, get this thing all torn apart, and yeah, we'll go from there. A lot of times these hoses will keep leaking brake fluid after you're done. A good way to stop them from leaking is using these vacuum tube caps. They'll usually solve that problem pretty easily. All right, guys, so we're well on our way in tearing apart this new truck that we're axle swapping. And I want to point out something that's kind of unique about this truck, or a little bit rare, I guess we should say. And that's actually this shock tower. So as you can see, this truck is an F350 four-wheel drive. So like all F250 and F350 four-wheel drives, comes with leaf springs and a shock with the shock tower. About like 95% of the trucks that are set up this way come with the shock tower that actually has 4 bolts holding it to the frame. This one, as you can see, only has 2 bolts. And again, it's a pretty rare setup, but we're hoping that our F Super Duty coil buckets, which again only have 2 bolts holding the shock to the frame, the shock tower to the frame, will work on this truck. That way, we again minimize the drilling that we have to make for these kits. So again, yep, just wanted to point that out. What is your favorite food that I make? American cheese. Alrighty guys, so I want to show you a quick tip on how to install this bolt tab. So we made this to make it easier to install your track bar without having to notch the frame or do anything weird to be able to torque this bolt. And that's basically what this long handle is on the bolt for. So what you want to do is you want to come to the front of your frame rail behind the bumper, and then still got to remove the shackle. But you're going to insert it through this opening in the frame right in front of the shackle. And it can be a little bit tricky, but you want to grab it like this with the bolt threads facing the outside of the truck, and then kind of just fish it right through that slot like that. And then from there, you basically just want to get it into place. You're trying to, sorry about that light, you're trying to get into that hole, so it might be a little bit difficult for me to do with just one hand, but we should be able to get it in there. So I can see the bolt. Come on. Now there's a little bit of dirt in there, so actually before I place it, but you can see it's about to fall, but before I do it, I'm going to try and with the same bolt kind of clean all the dirt out from underneath it. Alrighty guys, and there we go. Like I said, we've got both bolts in there. This other one also has a smaller tab. Obviously the one with the smaller tab goes through this window in the frame, but like I said, now that we have both of these, we would be ready to install the track bar. Now before we install a track bar, I'm gonna be installing it just to fit it, but before you install the track bar for the final time, make sure you install the pitman arm that we send with the kit, because once the track bar is in place, you will not be able to access that pitman arm and you'll have to drop the track bar bracket again. So before you install the track bar bracket for the final time, remember to do your pitman arm first. But right now, all I want to do is basically just mark all the holes that we had to drill. So I'm gonna install our track bar bracket, mark those holes, drill them, and then keep moving on doing that. That way we have all the holes, everything drilled and ready to go for once we install the kit for the final time. So also, I forgot to mention, the F Super Duty coil buckets do work on the OBS four-wheel drive trucks that have 2 bolts for the shock tower. So just wanted to update you guys on that. Okay guys, so we've got the track bar on the frame, and I want to go over a couple little tips of how we like to install this, because we get a lot of questions about it. So in the kit, we send you 2 extra nuts in a little baggie that are labeled as mock-up only, and this is their entire purpose, to mock up the track bar to the frame. So they'll look like this. It'll be just a regular nut, no lucky knot or nothing like that. And you want to just hand tighten these. You don't want to use any tool, because you still want movement in your bracket like that, so you can position it correctly. And the way that I like positioning is push on this until it hits the frame, then go ahead and clamp it to the cross member, mark your 3 holes, remove it, drill those holes, and then you're good to go. Another thing that I want to point out about this track bar bracket, specifically the hardware, is obviously, like I said, we really put a lot of thought in making it easy to install, but we also put a lot of thought in making this making it really strong. So these 2 bolts that hold it to the frame rail, they're 5/8 bolts. These 3 bolts holding it to the cross member, they're 9/16. So again, it's all very strong, tough hardware to make sure that this thing doesn't go anywhere. And then on this, which is our drop track bar bracket, it's a completely boxed in design all the way to the cross member, and then reinforced with these supports, gussets. They go all the way across into the cross member to again give you a super solid track bar. Now that we have it there, I'm gonna do like I told you, mark it, remove it again, and start drilling those 3 holes. Okay guys, so I was about to pull the gearbox on this truck, because we were also doing the gearbox swap on it. I kind of discovered something that's pretty bad, and it really shows that you really gotta choose your cable management, your cable and hose routing pretty seriously. So this truck had, for whatever reason, a ground coming right through the steering shaft and the gearbox, and as you can see, it's getting chewed up pretty bad. Like, it's already down to the copper. So we're gonna remove the gearbox, and then I'm gonna see if I can remove this ground and maybe get it fixed, because yeah, that's definitely definitely pretty bad. So but yeah, we'll take care of it. And like I said, we're gonna pull this gearbox to do the gearbox swap on this thing too. Okay guys, so we've got the gearbox out of this thing, and we are ready for the next step, which is gonna be to enlarge these 3 holes on the side of the frame, because we are going to be using some new M14 by 2.5 140 sorry, mil long bolts. I believe that's the correct size for these, but if they're not, I'll leave you a I'll leave the size right here. Now, the reason why you want to go with these, by the way, grade 10.9, is because the bolt that comes stock with the Super Duty gearbox, believe it or not, they're too short. So you want to run these slightly longer bolts to make sure that everything fits and engages the way that it's supposed to. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this area drilled out, and then we'll come back and try to install the gearbox. Oh, and then I'll also talk about the high pressure line on the gearbox. I had a lot of questions about that in my last video, so I'll talk about it here in a little bit. Okay guys, so I was getting ready to install the gearbox, and the last thing that I needed to do before I threw this thing on the frame was to remove the high pressure line from the power steering pump. But things got a little interesting. Nothing too crazy. Also, I love how I have to get on a ladder now. But anyways, something happened with this truck where they had to make this custom, I guess, high pressure line for it. But they had this adapter on it, so this would go right there. Not there, it will go right there where this line is at. So what I'm actually gonna try and do is, I guess, kind of see if I can use this to my advantage. And I'm gonna see if my hydraulic shop right here has something similar to this, but with the correct ends. I would still need this end, but this end would need to match right there. So I'm hoping, really hoping that I can find that. But right now I want to talk about this line. Like I said in the last video where I did one of these gearbox swaps on my green dually, apparently I didn't say what this hose was. It's a hose that comes stock on a Super Duty. Don't ask me what year, because I forgot what it is, but I will leave you guys a link below to this exact same line that I use. This line usually always has worked for me. So now that being said, it's not exactly perfect, and I am trying to work on getting my own custom lines made, because I want to make a kit to where you guys can either choose between getting the pitman arm with the kit or getting the bolts and the lines that you would need to make the 05 through 07 gearboxes work on this thing. The only problem is that I can't find a hydraulic shop that has the correct fitting for the pump side. So as soon as I can find someone that can make me that line, hopefully I'll have that as an option. Again, you can either get the pitman arm, or you can get the 05 through 07 gearbox bolts and line to make that work. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead, throw that new used gearbox on the frame, and then like I said, hopefully tomorrow we can get this fitting to finish this whole gearbox swap. So yeah, okay guys, so we're basically done with the whole gearbox swap on this thing, and I want to kind of talk over a couple of things, because I know that in the previous video that I did there was some confusion. So I want to try and do the best job that I can at clarifying this before we end the video. Okay, so starting off with the gearbox that you want to get, you really want to get a box from 05 through 07, because that will be the most direct bolt-on deal. Early 08 is still basically the same gearbox, but after like mid 08 they went to a different input shaft that doesn't just directly bolt onto your OBS steering shaft, and you would have to modify your OBS shaft to get it to work. Luckily this truck wasn't 08, but it was an early 08, so we were able to just bolt it in, which is a big win for us. Now, the next thing that people get hung up on a lot, the lines. I'm using the OBS return line. It bolts right in, and I have never had a problem with it leaking or anything like that. I know that other guys have said that they had problems leaking. I'm not really sure what the deal is, but another solution that I was thinking that you guys could probably do is, since it is a return line and it's lower pressure line, what you could do is use the Super Duty return line and then just crimp it onto your old hose. That's basically what they were doing right there. So that should work, I think. Now, I've never tried it myself, so I'm not sure how secure it would be, but I'm pretty sure it would work. Like if one of these leaked on me, I think that would be the first thing that I would do, is just try to use the Super Duty line and just splice it in somewhere onto the OBS line. The next part, on this particular truck, I did it a little bit differently because like I said earlier in the video, it has a really weird setup that they at some point did for the power steering for the high pressure line. And I didn't really want to mess with it, so I just had another little adapter fitting like they had made to work with this. And so we used the Super Duty line end on that end, and then they braced another fitting to this end that just bolted on, screwed on to the line that was already existing on the truck. So all of that bolted up really nicely. We drilled out these 3 holes to fit the larger M14 hardware. Now we're running a Super Duty drop pitman arm with this thing. I personally think it's a really easy swap to do. We can usually get one of these knocked out in a couple hours, if that. So it's not too bad, especially if you have everything already ahead of time. For me, it was just that little fitting that I went to go get made. Actually, at the same place that I went to go get those fittings, fitting made, I'm talking to them about making some brake lines, and I got a couple of these fittings to see which one I like the best. So far, I'm thinking this for the axle side, for the caliper side, I like a lot. The only thing that I'm not super stoked about is this is all they have for the frame side on the driver's side, which, I mean, it'll work, it's fine, but I'm gonna try really hard to see if they can get me an actual line that gets crimped onto that line, kind of like the original is. That would be ideal. That's what I would ideally like to have, but like I said, we'll see. I'm gonna be going later this week. They're gonna be making the brake lines for this truck, so I'm gonna go pick those up and kind of try and see if I can find, or if they can find, a better solution than this. It will definitely work, you know, but it can be better. So we're gonna try and do that. But yeah, guys, other than that, I think this video's already gone long enough, so we're gonna call it. Again, leave me any questions, any comments that you might have down below. Don't forget to leave us a like. Don't forget to subscribe, because we're still trying to finish this truck. I've got some other big news, more builds coming. And again, guys, thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you on the next one.